top 8 at the World Championships. Of course, a devastating second place finish all the way back in 2010, which I'm sure we'll discuss a bit more as we go along. Had another top 8 finish with Darkrai EX back in 2012. And here he is, all the way in 2023, back in the top 4 of the World Championships. And you know what? This morning, I heard that he woke up and said, I'm going to be the best player in the room today. And so far, hard to argue with that.
Hard to argue when you're in top 4, undefeated so far in the tournament, 6-0-2. As players get shuffled up, this opening coin flip will be pretty important. See what the result is. And looks like Tord winning the coin flip will start things out. Going first, I'm sure that will be the choice. Let's talk about this matchup, Puka. We've got Gardevoir EX up against this Lost Zone Giratina deck. Are there any cards or strategies both these players are trying to maneuver through? Any dynamics to look out for as we get into game number 1 of this historic match?
I mean, there's a lot that can happen in any given game of this matchup. I think if you're going to be honest about it, it's about as close to even as you can get. I don't think there's a clear advantage for either player in this matchup. This is just going to be 2 great players, 2 great decks, and hopefully we see 3 great games.
That's my hope indeed. 2 incredible players. Hopefully they put on a show for all of us here in the Yokohama venue and watching around the globe at home. Let's keep our eyes out on the prize cards. Anything of importance to note. One of those Ralts, and the only copy of Zacian in the prize cards as well. Not necessarily what you want to see. The Battle Pass, of course, you're going to want to have those to start the turn off early on. So see what Tord has to work with and maneuver in this first turn.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this one started. This is one for the ages. 2 absolute legendary players looking to add one more gigantic accomplishment to their resume here in the Pokemon TCG. It's all about proving your legacy. At this point, both of these players are legends of this game, but who is going to take the extra step and really cement themselves as one of the greatest of all time?
Well, time will tell here. 75 minutes on the clock. Hopefully 3 epic games. Let's get into things. Tord, Reklev, Michael Pramawat, Masters Division top 4 here at the 2023 World Championships. Action will be on Tord to start things out. I don't actually think this hand is too powerful. Does have the attachment for turn onto this Ralts. Does have another one, and wow, there's no battle VIP pass, no searching outs. There's an Iono, but you can't play that when you're going first.
That's not good. When you're playing this Gardevoir deck, you need to get a bunch of Ralts on the board on turn 1, and he just passes the turn.
What is this hand for Michael Pramawat? There's nothing going on. 5 energy cards, a few switching cards in Mirage Gate. Are you kidding me?
All right. Well, we're not going to start this one off with a bang. Looks like both players are just going to take their time in this first game. At least Pram did start with the Giratina and can use Abyss Seeking. This is not your ideal start by any means, but at least you are putting some cards into the Lost Zone and getting some extra cards into your hand.
These are not great cards at all. Path to the Peak, Super Odd, Energy, Mirage Gate, none of those. Ways to find Comfey, start flower selecting, drawing more cards. What can Tord work with here? None of those Ralts put under any pressure. Does have the Kirlia in hand, so can evolve this bench. Ralts into Kirlia, use Refinement. There is the Iono in hand, but I think Tord would prefer to maybe play something different or even withhold from playing that card at all. Does find a level ball, and that's important. That can get either another Ralts into play or evolve this into a second Kirlia to draw even more cards.
Yep, and Tord is playing that Mirage Step Kirlia, and this is a great opportunity to use it. It turns what would be a pretty bad start into a pretty good one. You can just go ahead and find more Kirlia and put them directly onto the bench. We saw in the top 8, he was able at times to get like 4 Kirlia and then Rare Candy, other Ralts into Gardevoir. It allows you to get kind of extra Gardevoir into play while still having access to Kirlia's Refinement. So this is going to be a pretty good start for Tord still. And yeah, the big question will be, will he play that Iono in his hand? He can probably see that Pram's hand was pretty bad, but he did get to look at the top 4 and take the 2 best cards out of that with the Abyss Seeking. So there's a potential that, you know, he drew into a Chorus's Experiment, something like that, but you might also look at this and think, you know, what 2 cards could help a hand that did absolutely nothing? why would I even risk it and give my opponent a new hand?
I think the risk as well is if you play the Iono and you draw into those Curlias, you can't then use Mirage Step to play this down. So smart choice from Tord. Will obviously be making every play he can. And oh boy, Michael Pramawat is going to have to find some sort of miracle card off the top. And then we were watching his top 8 match. He made an incredible top deck when he needed to find Colress's Experiment to give himself a shot. Won game 2, clawed things back, winning game 3 in top 8. He's going to need some more of that magic, top cut magic to make things happen. But for now, Tord bringing all the Curlia out. And what is the top deck? No, it's a Battle Pass.
Battle VIP pass. That would have been good on the first turn. Very bad on this turn. And this is just a disastrous start to this top 4 match for Michael Pramawat. Just gonna abyss seeking once again. And this is just, it's not what you wanted to see.
Finally does find Colress's Experiment, but the question on my mind, is this just too late? Is it not even matter with Colress? I mean, at this point now, there's already an energy in the discard pile. There's one energy on here.
Is there a chance that Tord just wins this turn?
I mean, with Giratina V, would need to find 6 energy cards. There's already 2 energy available. You can retreat this Curlia. This does have 1 retreat cost, unlike the Refinements having 2 retreat costs. And we do see the Shining Arcana Gardevoir as the top deck for turn. Could choose to maybe use the Refinement ability first on this Curlia with the energy and then evolve it. But no, we're actually going to see this just go for the active. I think Tord understands that regardless of what happens here, I'm in the driver's seat, and it looks like going to just give Michael a fresh new hand. Both players shuffling their hand, putting it to the bottom, drawing 6 cards. There is still that potential, as we talked about. If there is a way to get Gardevoir EX into play, draw some cards, discard some energy, and look at this hand. Finds 2 energy right away to discard. Is it possible for Tord to pull off the win this turn?
Certainly possible. So I did mention that Pram did defeat Tord en route to winning the first ever international championships in London many years ago. Ever since then, whenever these 2 players match up, Tord has generally gotten the best of Pram. And this has to be frustrating for Pram, once again facing off against what at this point appears to be your nemesis and drawing another poor hand and just watching as your opponent sets up perfectly, maybe even wins on the second turn here. It's just, at some point you're just like, how do I beat this guy?
It's tough, especially when this is how you're starting your turn off. We'll find Manaphy with the level ball. This means Radiant Greninja will not be an option to take extra prize cards. And I mean, the potential is still there. We see Ultra Ball in hand. The Tord playing all these ways to thin out the hand. If this Refinement finds another energy card and a way to discard, or another way to find either Gardevoir EX or the Shining Arcana Gardevoir, can utilize the Psychic Embrace to retreat this active, evolve into a second Shining Arcana Gardevoir, and then take the knockout there with 6 energy. But that is a little bit of an ask. Does also still have access to the Shining Arcana on the active, so this turn is far from over.
Yep. If you're Pram, you can just, all you can do is sit here and hope you get another turn.
Oh wow, actually pitching it with the, wow, that's interesting choice to just get rid of this Manaphy, discarding it.
I mean, you have an Ultra Ball in hand. You can just throw away a Psychic if you need to.
Sure, I mean, that's fair, yeah. I mean, you do sort of sometimes want to have Manaphy down in this matchup for Greninja, but here we go. Big 2 cards, Shining Arcana finds the energy. Is that enough? I think if this evolved into the bench, it would be, but
would have
one energy short. I think you just still put this on the active. You can, of course, attach for turn, and now you're attacking with Shining Arcana with no damage counters on it.
Yeah, he's going to get to 6.
Oh, wait, he has it, right?
That's just game over, yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry. I thought there was 1 less energy.
All right, well, I was hoping for 3 good games. The first one was not a good one. But Tord Reklev is going to get the Gardevoir EX. Use Psychic Embrace to load up that Gardevoir with a bunch of energy, and Brainwave for the win. And that is a quick first win for Tord Reklev.
Not the way I thought this match would go at all. Not off to the start, but listen, Pramawat fell down pretty quickly in game 1 of top 8. Ran into a situation where in the mirror match, Sableye sort of ran away with things and composed himself, found a new strategy. I have to wonder, obviously there's nothing Pramawat could have done in that situation. There's no sequencing or decision-making choices you can make, but I mean, at least you hopefully got your 1 bad draw out of the way. That's pretty much all you can hope after that game.
Yeah. And it's interesting, even through the kind of online era of 2020, back when we had the first Players Cup Invitational Tournament, Tord and Pram played against each other in that online event as well, and Tord got the best of Pram there. So even on the internet, Pram is not safe from Tord.
You can't run from him. You can't run. Tord will find you wherever you go. And, I mean, this is the situation we're in right now. In this second game, Tord taking a quick 1-0. Now, Michael Pramawat will have the choice to go first in this matchup, hopefully trying to get something like turn 2 Spit Innocently, even maybe something like Radiant Greninja as well.
I mean, Pram's just hoping to play the game this time.
Listen, it's got to be a little bit more than that, though, if you're up against Tord Reklev regardless.
Yeah, well, that's smart. Let's start small.
Sure.
Maybe just, start with the Battle VIP pass, something like that. But yeah, just hoping to see a good game here in game number 2. Pram has been battling against adversity throughout this tournament, lost the first game in the top 8, and then was able to rally back and win games 2 and 3. And he will have to do that once again if he wants to advance to the finals here in Yokohama.
Lots going through his mind, I'm sure. Lots also going through Tord's mind. You're, once again, 1 game away from making it to the finals. You were so close in 2019. Now, you can almost taste it. That sweet, sweet silver or gold Pikachu trophy waiting for you at the end of the road. Is Michael pretty quick to select the Pokemon, starting it out. Looks like the choice here for Tord. Do you start this Celebrations Mew, or do you want a different Pokemon to be active? It's just not great.
Pretty loaded hand for Tord. All right. Prize cards are being placed out. This game, Michael Pramawat will be going first. And we'll see if he's able to at least do something a little better. And 2 Battle VIP Pass prize, but 3 Psychic Energy prized for Tord. Big prize cards on both sides.
2 of those stadium outs as well in the prize cards. What does Pram have to work with?
Oh,
well,
no, come on.
Looks like there's another Comfey.
He's throwing away a Nest Ball, that's not bad.
So it looks like another Comfey in the hand. Did decide to grab the Chorus's Experiment over the Nest Ball. Makes sense. You, of course, want to have that supporter card for the following turn. Okay, the choice here for now, how do you commit to this? Do you put the Jet Energy on? Do you just manual retreat? And looks like wanting to save Jet Energy for next turn just to get a little bit more value out of that is really just looking for a Battle VIP Pass.
Exactly.
Do we see it?
Grass Energy. No, another Energy card.
Wow. Only 2 Comfey going into play. No way to get Battle VIP Pass. Those are now unplayable cards for the rest of the game.
And Tord draws the Battle VIP Pass.
What an excellent start. Can already put 4 basic Pokemon down, having 2 Ralts in hand, with still the availability to use this Mysterious Tail. Find another item card. Tord will be very happy that all of those Pokemon are in the deck. Mirage Step is an option. Banafee is there, so he doesn't have to worry about Radiant Greninja taking multiple prizes. Sure, you have some Psychic Energy gone, but nothing too detrimental for you to get your strategy up and running.
Yeah, I think the bright side for Pram, he did get 2 cards in the Lost Zone. He does have the Chorus's Experiment ready to go on the next turn. So as long as he doesn't draw horribly off of multiple flower selecting plus the top 5 cards from Chorus's Experiment, he should be able to have a pretty good turn and at least be able to play the game this time. Now the question is that going to be good enough? Simply playing the game against Tord in this situation, who has opened up with yet another excellent hand, is able to get a bunch of Ralts into play, hasn't even used the Mysterious Tail for Mew yet, and also has a Professor's Research in hand, ready to just draw 7 new cards. So,
wow,
excellent start from Tord.
Picture perfect, exactly how you draw it up. Wonder if we'll even just see the Research get played before this Mysterious Tail. There just really is no reason to go above and beyond. And we'll also see how Tord sets this board up. Sometimes we see players opt to put Zacian down into play, attach energy, and then use Roar of the Sword to put some pressure on that way. It will be the Fog Crystal and the Ralts going down, and it looks like with this hand, yeah, we're going 4 Ralts in play plus Manaphy, and this Research getting rid of the Lumineon and the first Psychic Energy, hitting the discard pile. Mysterious Tail hasn't even been used yet, and there's even more energy to get rid of the following turn as well.
I wonder what it's like to be Tord Reklev.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, What more can you ask for from the start? I guess you can hope to hit an item off of this. Oh, sure, an Ultra Ball. That's
Level
not bad.
Ball, Rare Candy, Ultra Ball. It's even a Battle VIP pass you can't play because your bench is full.
Yeah, grabs the Rare Candy. Not something you enjoy seeing on the other side. It's like, oh, you have a Rare Candy for next turn? Cool.
Unfortunate for sure. Well, Tord is definitely enjoying his driver's seat. Up 1-0 with picture perfect start, supporter cards to work with next turn, and an opponent who really didn't pop off on their first turn. As you said, did get 2 cards in the lost zone, but beyond that, not much is going on Michael Pramawat's side. Now, that could all change with the start of Colress's experiment and some draws, but willing to be a very fortunate set. Passing, turn back over. What is the top deck? What are the options? And looks at the hand and says, yep, I'm playing this Colress no matter what. 5 cards off the top. I mean, if you're in this situation, what cards do you dream of seeing here off this Colress? I don't think it's those. Wow, no way to find any Pokemon. Sheesh. You've got plenty of Jet Energy. I mean, the easy choice is you can get rid of this choice belt, but
it's just drawing into all of his energy. It's horrendous. You need to find Nest Ball or some ways to get basic Pokemon into play here. There's just nothing going on. It's all riding on these flower selecting abilities.
And you know it's not good if it gets snap picked away. And wow, Super Rod hitting the discard pile. And it's for a path to the peak. Look at this hand. There is a Nest Ball, though. So at minimum, this can find Cramorant. We can see Michael Pramawat start to take some prize cards. We see even the Jet Energy being held. There'll be another flower selecting. So purposely not playing Nest Ball to try and maximize the ability to draw into more of these basic Pokemon, such as that Snorlax, one of the tech cards Michael Pramawat is playing in this deck.
Yep, and this is going to be, I don't know, an interesting choice. He's going to play Nest Ball, and I think ideally you would use Cramorant, get a knockout on this turn, and just, get a prize card. But ideally you would use Escape Rope to do that. You really don't want to knock out the Mew. It's an easy Pokemon to pick off later with Sableye. So Cram's actually going for the Giratina V, has Jet Energy in hand, and may just have to take it a little bit slow and use Abyss Seeking again. This is not your ideal turn 2 play.
We'll at least boost Michael up to 8 cards in the Lost Zone, so Lost Mine shenanigans, Colress's experiment can get there, plus some flower selectings. We'll see what these 4 cards look like. Not a bad selection, but
come on.
I mean, it feels like you've got to take Colress plus Greninja. I mean, getting rid of Greninja means your opponent can essentially accept the man if he gets knocked out and never have to worry about that again. It looks like even considering, I mean, there is something to note though. There is already a basic grass energy in the Lost Zone, so maybe Pram is asking himself, can I afford to get rid of another energy?
Throwing away the Greninja.
Wow, getting rid of Radiant Greninja, valuing Iodo over it?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Might be thinking he needs to, have that in hand for some kind of late game desperation play. This is just not going well for Pram, and well, it's about to get worse when you see Tord's hand here, although I don't see any Kirlia yet. There is another Professor's Research, and now he'll have access to the Shining Arcana, but this isn't the best hand of the world.
Well, I mean, it starts off pretty well. Rare Candy, Shining Arcana, Gardevoir, Professor's Research can discard this hand.
I mean,
draw 7 cards.
If we see
another Rare Candy
and Gardevoir EX off of this, Tord is just destined to win this tournament.
Doesn't matter what you can do, you can't stop him here. Let's take a look. Oh, that hand is so solid though. Kirlia, Level Ball, already has the Gardevoir, hasn't used Mysterious Tail yet, and there's 3 Rare Candy in the deck. There's none prized, so it could be completely possible. Will be the first Shining Arcana used. Just find another Level Ball. So, I mean, all these search cards can just be played. Double Level Ball, Fog Crystal, get the energies out. And Tord will start doing just that. Playing Level Ball, searching for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less. It's the perfect search card in this deck. It finds Mew, Manaphy, Ralts, Kirlia. And on top of that, you can put them into your hand, shuffle your deck up. It will, of course, be that Kirlia. The Refinement ability pairing so well with the strategy and synergy of this deck. Discard those energy cards, bring them back with Psychic Embrace, and start attacking and dealing some damage.
So those 2 Rare Candies still in the deck, and has an Ultra Ball in hand. I think also has Gardevoir EX in hand already. It's going to be at least seeing 4 more cards off of the Refinement abilities, and then gets to dig 6 cards deeper with Mysterious Tail. At this point, it seems pretty inevitable that he will find a Rare Candy, and on turn 2, get 2 Stage 2 Pokemon into play and potentially, geez, I don't know how much energy he's got access to, but I mean, if he's able to knock out this Giratina V, I don't know how you respond to that.
So right now, 4 energy in play. There is the 1 in the hand. There is also Ultra Ball, so that's guaranteed. So 1 more energy plus Rare Candy. Those will be the 2 cards Tord needs to get this knockout. Still access to another refinement ability. I think this is actually the last refinement ability available, so let's see what the cards are. There's the Psychic Energy, so that means it may very well come down to this Mew. Oh. If this Mew can come down there, actually.
Yep, not even going for it.
No, not even going to go for it. I feel like as you were talking about, though, if you take this knockout, I mean, I guess Pramawat is an easy response, or maybe Sableye goes in and deals damage, so Tord maybe just taking the slow approach, saying, yep, I've had a plenty good start. Your start is not nearly as good as mine. I'm going to set up my perfect board, and then we'll start playing the game.
Yep, here is the Mysterious Tail. Digging 6 cards deeper,
and the Rare Candy's there.
It
I
is
see
there,
it.
Yeah.
It is,
but, yeah.
tell me the name of the set. What set is it from? Is it Ruby?
Holland Phantoms.
Holland Phantoms.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting. You are also playing Reversal Energy in this deck, and there is some merit to having an undamaged Gardevoir attacking for a knockout. There's no easy Sableye response to that. Pram does play the Snorlax, which is a way to knock out a Gardevoir with full HP. So Tord may not be expecting that, but looks like Pram did get a turn of reprieve there. There was no pressure back from his opponent, so he will be able to take the first knockout still if he desires. But geesh, I mean, it's scary looking across there, seeing 3 Kirlia, a Gardevoir already that has 2 energy on it, and you haven't taken a single prize card yet. At least this game, you know, should be somewhat close, but I feel like the advantage has to be to Tord right now.
Just on board setup alone, I mean, sure, Michael's going to get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone now, so Sableye is online.
I don't even know if he can Mirage Gate. There's so much energy in his hand.
Yeah, geez, and no way to discard them with something like the Radiant Greninja because it was pitched away. Is there? Okay, there are. So there's 2 energy in this hand. So
is he gonna power up the big guy?
Is he coming swinging? Listen, if there's any time to wake up and get into the action, it's here. Top 4 at the World Championships.
Let's see where these energy are gonna go with the Mirage Gate. I assume both are gonna go onto the Snorlax. I'm not sure why you would play it down otherwise.
Considering it, thinking about where they should go. Now, if you're going to use the Snorlax here, I mean, I guess that would be combined with something like the Escape Rope.
Yep.
I mean, there is a situation there where Tord just brings up a different Pokemon, and the question really here is what difference does attacking with Cramorant and Snorlax make in a situation like this?
Yeah, Snorlax does have higher HP, so it can be a little bit annoying to knock out. But yeah, for the most part, I guess it means if you play an Escape Rope, it means Tord can't just send up Gardevoir to take a hit. I'm not really sure, but looks like he's just going to Jet Energy to the Comfey anyway, just prepping the Snorlax for later, and he will still attack with Cramorant this turn.
So Cramorant comes down into play. There is that Escape Rope in the hand, as well as, I believe, a switch card. No, just the Escape Rope, plenty of energy, and both copies of the boss's orders. You see that card, the Path to the Peak in the hand?
He's actually just going to knock out the Mew.
Wow. Going after the Mew. What do you think about that, Kyle?
I think I would have preferred the Escape Rope, but I guess you've already put your Greninja into the Lost Zone. If you play Escape Rope, Manaphy's just going to come out. So it really doesn't make a difference. Mew is actually going to be potentially more useful over the course of the game. So now that I think about it, yeah. When there's no threat of Radiant Greninja, Manaphy is pretty much just taking up a space on the bench, not doing anything, so that makes total sense.
Speaking of which, Manaphy promoted for turn for Tord, and there are so many support abilities. Can draw 8 cards just off the Gardevoirs and Kirlias. I mean, we see Gardevoir EX in the hand. I mean, like you were mentioning before, though, that Reversal Energy is now active, which means this Shiny Arcana Gardevoir can get that much more value. An interesting choice, though, deciding to promote the Manaphy for turn. I wonder what that signals in terms of attacks. We'll at least be able to bring back some of these Pokemon with the Super Rod. There's plenty of drawing to be done. This will be a typical long turn here for Tord.
Yeah, lots of abilities to be used, lots of sequencing to figure out. It looks like Cresselia will be the Pokemon of choice to attack with this turn. Use the Super Rod to put it back into his deck, and then we'll grab it with the Fog Crystal. Can just attach manually to the Manaphy. It's the only Pokemon he had with the 1 retreat cost in play. Yeah, we're going to start to kick this game into high gear, I think. Pram has taken the first knockout in this one, and now Tord is going to start firing back. From this point forward, you got to assume that Tord will not miss a beat at any point. He just has access to basically his entire deck at this point. So if you're Pram, you have to play expecting your opponent to have the perfect cards every single turn, and you have to try to craft a strategy where you're able to beat that.
It's going to be hard to navigate, but if there's anybody who can do it, it is Michael Pramawat, a seasoned player, and no one to tell that it's not possible to put something together. As we will just actually see the first refinement used can then evolve that into Gardevoir EX, so getting some value out of that Kirlia first. As we will see Iono being played, the first one of the series, first of many if we get to see this game go on for a little bit longer, as Tord will get 6 cards. Michael Pramawat put down to 5.
Put a lot of energy back in his deck.
Yeah,
Now he can Mirage Gate again.
It's honestly a pretty good thing though at this point. And speaking of which, they draw into one of those, but it's still Tord's turn. We'll see the level ball be played. I don't even think there's any legal targets to grab, so we'll just shuffle the deck up. I mean, some of those cards in the bottom are now mixed in with the rest of the deck. Can now start to do what everybody loves to do in Pokemon, draw some cards.
I wonder what the game plan is going to be for Pram moving forward. Ideally, at some point, you can use Giratina V-Star's Star Requiem to knock out a Gardevoir EX. That's a 2-prize knockout you can take. Right now, he only has 8 cards in the Lost Zone, though, and you need to get to 10 to do that, so it's going to be a bit awkward. Especially since I assume this turn Tord will be attacking with Cresselia and probably knocking out a Comfey on the bench, leaving the Cramorant in the active spot. So pulling off some kind of play from here where you both Mirage Gate onto Giratina V-Star and get 10 cards in the Lost Zone and find a boss's orders to knock out the Gardevoir EX probably isn't possible. So if you can't do that, it's probably Snorlax time for Pram on the next turn. This Cresselia for Tord is a card we're seeing in Gardevoir EX decks pretty much all the time these days. Such an odd card that came to relevance because of Gardevoir EX's Psychic Embrace ability. Puts damage counters on your own Pokemon, which is usually a drawback, but with the Moonglow Reverse, you can throw those damage counters back at your opponent's Pokemon and turn it into an advantage for you.
Free energy acceleration with none of the damage downsides. Oh wow, was that target the Giratina V-Star?
Yeah, makes it an easier knockout later, I guess.
Making it so you don't have to damage yourself as much later on to take a knockout. Interesting choice, and more importantly as well, leaves this Cramorant in the active spot. If Michael Pramawat wants to use different attacker, will also need the energy to power up the Snorlax and a way to pivot this Cramorant out of the active.
Okay, with the Mirage Gate in hand, it's pretty safe to just go ahead and Jet Energy onto the Comfey. And, ooh, Mirage Gate. Go to the Lost Zone. Actually, we are at 11 in the Lost Zone, sorry. So we are actually at Star Requiem range already. And this is an opportunity to use Sableye as well if you'd like. It's just going to be about trying to keep up the rest of this game, trying to stay ahead in the prize trade. Unfortunately for Pram, Tord does kind of have control of this game. He has access to more cards every turn with those refinement abilities, and will be able to find things like those timely boss's orders at the right time. Yeah, it's just, you can't make any mistakes in this situation. Each turn needs to be precise and clean, especially going up against a player like Tord Reklev. You have to have a perfect game plan if you're going to try to win from here.
No room for error indeed. You know how the situation goes when we're here in top 4. Things are intense. So since there's 10 cards in the Lost Zone, we've seen it all weekend. Lost Mine up, online, and running. And I mean, we've had this discussion before. At least as a Gardevoir player and as a Lost Zone player, I think it's always correct to just go after Kirlias when you can. They evolve, they get to more HP. But the question now becomes, where do you put the rest of the damage counters? And Pramawat seems to think that the 40 should go into the Shining Arcana Gardevoir.
Yep.
And I think this is a smart play. I mean, you set it up in damage range, not just for Sableye, but also for the Cramorant as well.
Yep. Pram does have a very bad hand to battle VIP passes, so this is one of the rare situations where you hope your opponent plays Iono and gives you a new hand. Yeah, this is an awkward situation for Tord. One of the downsides of using these Moon Glow reverse attacks is you do have to spread energy out among your Pokemon. So it means this turn it seems unlikely that Tord would be able to pull off another Moon Glow reverse because there's not 4 energy for him, or 3 energy in this case, to take from the discard pile and put onto his Pokemon. So this may be a turn where he's aiming to finally attack with that Brainwave on Gardevoir, maybe go after Giratina V-Star, but Tord has access to everything.
Yeah, thinking about the math, actually the way that the reversal energy works is it will be 240, so it's more than enough to take the knockout onto this Giratina without having to put more damage counters.
He's only got like 4 cards left in his deck.
Jeez, yeah, look at that. So much turbo through the deck, discard pile, slowly amassing to be a huge mountain of cards. It does have Palpat, does have Iono, so there's no fear of decking out. Of course, Tord making sure that he's got a good grip on what resources are available, as all these Kirlias now fully evolved into Gardevoir. One of those Gardevoir EX, and 2 of those Shining Arcana. Does find the reversal energy. Also has a Collapse Stadium. Not sure if this is the time to use it, but it's a great card at essentially healing off one of your benched Pokemon when the time comes.
Yeah, I gotta imagine we'll see Boss's Orders here. And yep, going after the Giratina V-Star, it puts Pram in such an awkward situation. The only real way for Pram to take 2 prize turns at this point is with Giratina V-Star taking out the Gardevoir EX, and he's not going to be able to bench a Giratina V for the rest of the game, because if he does, Tord can just Boss's Orders that one out and take another 2 prize knockout. This game is going to be close though. Pram is ahead by 2 prize cards, and this is merely going to even the prize race here. So it's going to be really tight down the stretch. It's going to come down to, well, Tord's going to put 2 Boss's Orders back into his deck. I wonder if, as the game goes on, we could see Tord go for some kind of strategy where he plays Boss's Orders to bring up the Snorlax and then uses Cresselia to knock out a Pokemon on the bench and hope that maybe Snorlax gets stuck there or stays asleep or something, and maybe that's what can win him this game.
Tord thinking about every way to maneuver through this matchup, ways to play around and ways to outplay, but it's hard when you've got such a talented opponent like Pramawat. There it is, big Brainwave knockout, 240 damage. Giratina V-Star falls down Tord, evening things up at 4 prizes apiece. And like you said, this hand is not great for Michael Pramawat.
Yeah.
There's Comfeys, Energies, I mean, you got Battle VIP Pass. Those are the cards that you have in the hand. I mean, you've got to at least find a way to pivot this out. You do have Super Rod plus Mirage Gate, so that's at least a backup option. But you play Gen Energy, you play Escape Rope, Switch Cart, Colress. There's lots of cards you can find here on Flower Selecting, and pretty quick choice there. Putting the Comfey to the Lost Zone.
Find a Colress file? Nope, just a path to the peak.
So with this path, there is Boss's Orders in hand as well.
He's going to have to Mirage Gate just to retreat.
And that will be 3 Mirage Gate down at that point. Will that be the second one played, and 1 is in the Lost Zone that did get Lost Zone. So there's only 1 more available to be played throughout this game number 2.
Yeah, I think that's fine though. For the rest of this game, you might attack with the Snorlax that's already powered up, or you're basically just going to attack with Sableye. So you don't really need Mirage Gate at this point. I don't think we're ever going to see a Giratina hit the bench again in this game. Pram is still kind of in the lead in this game in terms of prize cards. We do have to watch out for the Collapse Stadium from Tord. It can be a way for him to discard some of those liabilities on the bench, like the Manaphy, which could be easy prize cards later. But as of right now, Pram does have 4 things that can be knocked out on Tord's side. The active Gardevoir, the benched one, the Manaphy, and the Cresselia. The Gardevoir EX, of course, the biggest hurdle, has 310 HP, so that's going to be the hardest one to fight through. But if Pram is able to, take out all these little Pokemon along the way, there are 4 there for him to knock out.
Well, Pramawat just shuffled a Giratina V back into the deck, so
okay.
maybe be considering combining benching the Giratina with something like a Roxanne or an Iono down the line.
Yep.
So it will be the Mirage Gate getting played. So this is only one of 2 remaining. It actually looks like there are none left in the deck. So this could actually be the last copy of Mirage Gate. Like you said, put the energy on the Comfey to retreat, and then this last energy, kind of a toss-up. You could throw an extra energy on Comfey so you have a guaranteed pivot later down the line as well, or power the Snorlax up. Both options seem okay in my mind.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't mind just powering up Snorlax. Then at some point, when you know you're going to attack with it, you can just send it up and maybe not have to risk finding a way to retreat the Comfey or things like that. Pram's going to do everything he can to keep up in this game. And looks like Pramawat is going to be the choice here. I was wondering if he would go for a Lost Mine in this situation. Could put 10 damage counters on the active Gardevoir and then 2 on the benched one. But looks like he's valuing just being able to use this Pramawat now and say, I know this thing isn't going to be useful as the game progresses. Let's get some value out of it while I still can.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it would be 2 extra damage counters that you'd place with Sableye if you're going to take the knockout on this based off of using Pramawat. And with the Cresselia existing, those 2 damage counters would pretty much just be moved back off. So wanting to save the Sableye, especially with how poor the hand still looks for Michael Pramawat. Speaking of a not poor hand, Tord has so many resources in hand, so many ways to draw cards.
Tord's got a whole deck in his hand.
Pram wishes he had that. Sometimes with the Giratina deck that happens. You build up those large hand sizes, but really not against this Gardevoir deck that has so much disruption and high copies of Iono.
2 orders are found off of the Shining Arcana there. So yeah, I wonder what Tord is planning on doing here. This could be kind of a long-term strategy where you boss his orders up the Snorlax and start to pick off your opponent's benched Pokemon with Cresselia. But I don't know if it's going to be worth it. I do think Tord will weave in the Collapse Stadium at some point, fill his board with Pokemon that have kind of more than 120 HP, and then discard the Manaphy to take away 1 easy target there. And he's also got Forest Sealstone, but no cards in his deck, so not anything to search for.
We'll still put it on, so maybe signaling something like an Iono or a Super Rod. There are 0 cards in deck, so I'm sure Tord's going to want to find a way to make sure that's not the case at the end of the turn, as it looks like the choice will be Iono, so...
Pram is celebrating that. His hand was so bad.
We'll only get 3 cards, but hey, they've got to be better than Battle Pass, Boss's Order, so... Small victories, we take those for sure. You see Pram shuffling up the entire hand, which is now the deck, plus the 3 cards, or 4 cards rather, that Tord will draw off this Iono. What do they look like? Is those 2 Boss's Orders again, so those are back in the hand, as well as Iono for the following turn, as we'll start the Psychic Embrace. Strain so far, powering up all the Pokemon, all the Psychic Pokemon, 2 damage counters on each of the Psychic-type Pokemon. Psychic Embrace, main ability in this deck, allowing everything to function. It will be that Moonglow reverse targeting down Sableye.
Yeah, this is going to make things awkward for Pram. I think ideally he would want to attack with Sableye this turn, but it's going to be difficult after that Iono to 3 cards, especially because his hand is that. He does have the Iono of his own, a card that he opted to keep earlier in the game. He's going to go into the Comfey and hope to find one of those Coerce's Experiment. Where are they?
We do see the second Comfey hit the Lost Zone. Trying to get a good gauge on what resources are still available. Of course, we know that was kept there.
Giratina.
Giratina V?
Might need to attack with Snorlax this turn.
Do you even wait to play the Iono till the following turn, or do you